So you're ready to make your way to Genichiro, but there's still a couple of mini-bosses holding your prayer beads hostage. Whether it's the giant knight that snuck into the game from Dark Souls, or the purple ninja at the bottom of the well, they're both just kicking you all over the place, and you just can't do it. And that's alright, we all start somewhere, and that's why you're here. Welcome to the Get Good Guide for Sekiro Mini-Bosses Part 2. Similar to before, the runs that I'm going to be doing are on New Game Plus, so while I may have more health than you do at this point, keep in mind that my enemies are hitting roughly twice as hard. In addition to that, because I'm trying to keep this comparative to what you may experience in your first playthrough, I'll only be using upgrades that you would also have access to at this point in the game. With all that being said, let's get things kicked off and tackle our first boss. So if you made it this far, the next guy up on our list is going to be General Kuranosuke. But you'll notice he's guarded by a bunch of dudes with rifles, so creep on up so you can get a lock on right around where this torch is at. Toss out some shurikens. Make sure you stay crouched. If you end up revealing yourself, then they'll start shooting at you. You can see that even though he's looking for us, he hasn't seen us. Now, if for some reason you do aggro him,
go on over this way, jump across, here, and then run on into here.
After just a couple seconds of waiting around, he should de-aggro and you can go on back. So, as for things that have changed up, he's very similar to the previous generals. He's still going to do that perilous sweep that he loves. He's going to do that perilous thrust that the last general we fought had. But he now gains a multi-hit attack, certainly moving up in the world. Despite that, he's still just as easy to take out as the previous generals. General, you're going to want to fight him either up here, or all the way right there, or down at the bottom. Basically, on a flat surface, just to make things easier when it comes to deflecting his moves and making sure you don't get hit via an elevation difference. So bring him on down over to here. Let the fight begin. On, do your multi-attack. Notice the shine coming off the blade. That's when you want Makiri. There's the kick that the other one did. There's his sweep. What I want you to notice here is how I'm just, not even really attacking him, just abusing his posture. Deflecting all the attacks. As long as I'm staying close, it's pretty easy to bait him into doing certain things. We're able to just continually deflect. We know he's going to do that 1-2 into the stab, making it a very easy Makiri counter there. If we're nice and on top of him, that sweep will come up. And that's all it's going to really take. Double deflect into Makiri, bounce off the head, and the general should fall. Next up, we have the Ashina Elite. And while this enemy may seem intimidating from how much damage he does, he's actually one of the easiest mini-bosses in the game. First thing you're going to want is Sabimaru, which you can pick up in the castle. Aside from that, you're going to also want to have the Ascending Carp skill from the Ashina Arch Tree. Getting this skill will allow you to do more posture damage when you nail a deflect. Now, for this boss, all we're going to do is poison him, and then deflect his double slash. Time to deflect, you want to deflect as soon as you see the flash near the hilt of the blade. Poison. Now watch carefully. After the first hit, I want to poison him again. All I'm doing is just very quickly tapping L1, L1, L1. You don't even really need Sabimaru, but just make sure his posture stays nice and high. Next up, we have the Armored Knight, and this fight is all about deflects. To that extent, if you're terrible at deflecting, use the magnet upgrade for the umbrella. You can hold right trigger, and then tap L1 to spin it, and get easy deflects on him. You want to build up his posture via deflects, Makiri counter his thrust, and then kick him off the bridge. For my first set here, I'll use the umbrella just to show how easy it is. Just like the general, use the shine on the blade as your timing for when to use Makiri counter. gets angry, same thing. You can see just how good the umbrella's doing. Now, when he gets high, you want to bring him on over to here. And then make sure you get in position to kick his ass on off. Next up, we got Centipede Sin Moon. Very similar to the Armored Knight, this is also a battle all about deflects. If you're having trouble, once again you can use the umbrella to deflect him, but keep in mind that he does have a perilous sweep attack that'll do, which you can bounce off the head to avoid. Whenever you're ready, jump on down and take out these centipedes first. You can also kill all of these centipedes with just a jumping death blow attack. As they're crawling on the ground, it means their backs are exposed. And since their backs are exposed, it's very easy to get a free death blow on them. Jump down to get the death blow on him, and then finish off the minions with jumping death blows. Now, as you can see, he'll attack, and attack, and attack, and attack, and attack. That's his first combo. Second combo will be a shorter series of attacks, followed by the sweep. As you can see, you can use the umbrella to easily deflect his combo and quickly build up his posture. Between that and doing the jumping attack, you shouldn't have any trouble getting down the centipede. Next up, we have our first lone shadow boss. These enemies seem intimidating at first, but once you realize you can deflect all their kicks, they become pretty simple. Particularly as two perilous attacks that we're going to discuss real fast here. There's the 4-hit combo into the thrust. What I want you to notice here is the aura that gathers around his foot. That's when you hit Mikiri. As for the sweep, he likes to do it after a heavy downward knee, and as you can see here, you can just dodge from behind and get a free counter hit. Or use High Monk and just obliterate his posture. In trying to get him to showcase all of those moves in a single fight, I honestly just couldn't get him to go through all of them in a timely manner, which is why I did this similar to the previous Get Good guides. But anyway, as long as you've encountered him at least once, you know, you can go down here, hit him with a shuriken, whatever you want. After that, you can come on up here, and he'll be waiting down there for you, as you can see. And you can simply walk off and get a death blow. Then just stay aggressive on him. Honestly, the hardest part of this fight is the camera. Come on, try another nice big sweep so I can... Yes, good boy. I'm Monk OP! That's enough of them. I mean, honestly, I would highly suggest getting High Monk by now, because not only do you have this guy, but coming up you have Genichiro, and he likes to sweep, and the posture build-up from that move is just too damn good to pass up. And especially, as you saw here, using it against these guys pretty much ends them in and of itself. Our final mini-boss in this episode, and probably the hardest mini-boss you fought so far, is 7 Ashina Spears. This enemy is pretty much a test of whether or not you've learned how to do your Mikiri counters, but he has a couple other things to look out for. As for getting your Mikiri counters, look for the shine on the tip of the blade, and you should hit it every time. Every now and then, after you get a Mikiri counter, he'll do a follow-up attack. If you deflect it, you will be vulnerable, and you can follow up with Sabimaru to apply poison. Outside of that, when he does his big spinny wind-up, you can walk behind him, get in free damage, or alternatively, use this as a window to heal, as he's not going to be able to hit you. Lastly, if he goes for his perilous sweep, jump, bounce on the head, or Senpo leaping kicks. As for making your way on over to this boss, take the same path you did when you first made your way to Kuro. There's 2 enemies in the grass over there you have to kill, but aside from that, you should be able to make your way on over without worrying about the enemies below. The last thing I want to say is keep in mind your positioning here. We are fighting on a cliff, and he does have quite a bit of pushback on his moves, so make sure you don't get knocked off. That's going to be the hardest one to actually get off a good deflect on or a good Makiri counter on. When you see that attack, honestly, just mash the button because he drags the spear underground, and so the timing is a little bit different from your typical Makiri counter. Other than that, as long as you hit your Makiris, you really shouldn't have trouble with 7 spears. Before we wrap up, make sure that you grab the prayer bead that's hidden here in Ashina Castle by the Shinobi door, and in addition, the prayer bead that you can purchase from the merchant on the way to Senpo Temple. With those 2 beads, you'll have a total of 8, and you should have enough to complete your 4th necklace on the way to fight Kenichiro. That's going to wrap things up here for part 2 of the Get Good Guide of mini bosses. Up next, we're going to be taking a look at the mini bosses that we encountered throughout the Sunken Valley, and those that we encounter down in Ashina Depths. So make sure to stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys soon with part 3.